Speak for the kids. Speak for the kids first. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. So yeah, we can chat about that.
Yeah. It's Tuesday's good.
Yeah.
When do you want to do it? Where you
I see how that
Oh, so we just go.
play that card right now.
Like the state place.
Yeah.
You know, the one that used to be Hoover. Yeah, you're thinking it used to be library, but it's now the Argentinian state.
Yeah. I would take a steak. Yeah, I like a steak.
What's your lady like?
That's my little retort highlight. Yeah, I thought it was in my like like longer report that I write. Maybe it was about so I thought it was just nice to like name people.
Yeah, no, I think it's.
And give you a lovely handover to me.
Speak to Grace about.
Is it? Six table, that's what.
Actually, the board's going to sit along here, and if we could get everyone else.
Oh yeah, what did he say? I think we just do those two because I don't think there's anyone else who's like it. Yeah, I think we should do a short speech and thank you for those two. We can always do like a
You can keep it very brief. Very brief. Yeah, no, just really brief. 2 seconds. Yeah, we played a few hockey games.
Valley Blazers from Wild. Where these actually, yeah, that's good enough. Everyone wear the number. Boys doing a training
Hello, how are you? Please take a seat. We'll get underway on time, hopefully. I'd like to ask the board to sit up on the sofa here, and everybody else to sort of just mingle around. Grab a drink. That's just a box check exercise. We've done our job telling you what to do. Being recorded. There are vouchers on your table.
Just in case you're interested, that's the
in the envelope. If you take them from the correct table, 2 each is 12 in the envelope.
So when you do your little 2-minute, I'm going to ask you to sit in front of the laptop on Zoom.
Yeah, we
looks like Asma.
One guest.
I'll squeeze them.
I'm not using this though, am I? A procession of speakers coming around.
Oh, right. Put me in front of this.
So you'll start, and then you'll just introduce whoever's closest to you, basically.
Because you got This is where
John
the Zoom
Barrett
screen
is in
is.
the house, everybody. Start the show. Start the party. John Barrett's here.
Oh yeah, we should sit in order of sections. So it's rugby. Hang on, rugby.
Oh, yeah. I just squeezed it in.
You haven't left me yet.
Teresa, should we get everyone to sit in order? Men's rugby, rugby.
Griffins, if you'd like to join the AGM, if you want to come down here. Yeah, but you'll just scuttle straight back there once it's finished. Filthy animals. Yes, it is bullshit.
Matty Bell still here? We'll leave him to last thing.
Yeah, we're going to have to.
Okay. Yeah, come down here.
I want to tell that.
Well,
I'm sure he'll be giving time. That is, if Matty doesn't make it, you can read the rugby report. Oh, we'll leave men's rugby to the end. Time.
okay, let's make a start because we have a hard stop for a 7:30 dinner. Can we all just please try and keep it a bit quiet? We've got people joining in on the Zoom call as well. It's a bit noisy. We'll get going. Thanks for coming. I'll hand over to Mr. Chairman, Brett Stewart.
Thanks everyone for coming. I'm sitting here because I'm feeding in with the camera. So when I pass the mic, someone will swap into my spot. There is on the table a little voting slip. So when we get to the election of officers section, there is one contested election for the diversity and inclusion director. So there's been video circulated and information circulated by the candidates. But while we're going through the AGM, if you wouldn't mind filling in that slip, if you haven't voted already, passing it to our scrutineer, Grant Boozeville, who will count up the votes and let us know the results of that vote. So fill those in as soon as you can and just come and give them to Grant whenever you can, so he can count them up. I would like to make a special welcome today to, we've got a number of former chairs here today, but we've also in particular got Mr. John Barrett. If you don't know, he was our chairman back in 1980 to 1983. So John's just entered his 90th year. So it's 90th. So fantastic that he's here, mate. We really appreciate you coming. John, if you don't know, John was responsible for introducing women into the club. So he brought in the women's hockey section, the first women's team that we had. And obviously that's been a fantastic situation. We've actually got more women now than men. So thank you, John, for that. It's been brilliant. We'll start off with the first item on the agenda. There is an agenda on the table if you do want to read it. We have got some amendments to the articles, so if you haven't read them, you can have a squiz through those as well. But the first item on the agenda is the season in review. So we'll pass it to each of the section conveners to give us a brief rundown on how their section fared this year. So let's start with Tanya, women's rugby.
You need to sit in front of Adma, who's on Zoom.
Yeah.
Is she on Zoom?
Hi, Ed.
Hey, Tanya.
Sit down.
Okay, for the women's section this year,
So to start off the season, actually, for the first time in many years, we now have a coaching staff of 4, where that's a first in a long time. So we now have 2 coaches for our Reds team, and we have 2 coaches for our Blacks. Okay. Sorry. Keep going. Okay. So for the Blacks, we have Bellamilo as the head coach, and we've also recruited Justine Lavia. She is a former Black Fern from New Zealand and has played many years for the Black Fern, so we're very happy for her to come. She's been a good leader for our girls this year. She didn't get much game time, but hopefully going forward she gets to get on the pitch. So she'll be a player coach along with Bella. And then for the Reds, we've got Awai. Put your hand up. Hi. We can give a clap for Justine as well. But anyways, he is now the Reds coach for the back section, and he also has quite extensive experience coaching national touch, previous coach at World Cup. So that's pretty exciting. So that said, we've got 4 coaches, 2 teams. We got 4 games in for the Blacks this year, 3 wins, 1 loss. And for the Reds, unfortunately, they didn't get any game time. They got a preseason, and then the league was cut short. So we got a cancellation in our league when we came back from the lockdown. But the big win there was that we did play a couple of friendlies, and our Reds and our Blacks got to play together. And by doing so, I think our younger girls got to experience a lot by playing with the Blacks. So that was a big win for us. So we're looking good for next season, and that's pretty much it for us. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gents. Just the senior men's rugby. I think we all know how the season started with pre-season being interrupted on and off. I think one of the nice things about pre-season on our side was just a good integration of some of the juniors into the Premier setup just for a bit of pre-season and training, which was good. The other thing we saw at the start of the season was a change in coaching personnel with Ned Kelly, previous head coach, moving on. Mark Fatilov obviously stepping into his boots, and Martin Muller fulfilling the assistant coach role. Start of the season, I think as TY has mentioned, obviously not a hell of a lot of rugby played. Delayed start to the Prem and Premier leagues, with the lower leagues sort of contingent on those running for a set bit of time. Unfortunately, obviously that never happened. We got a few games in the Prems and the Premiers, and then we went into lockdown that lasted all the way to Chinese New Year, where we went into another return to play, which again was stopped 3/4 of the way through, and we never got the league going again. So similar to the ladies, nothing more than a handful of games played in the season. 4 games here, 5 games there for various teams, with unusual for Valley standards, probably some mixed results. About 50-50 win ratio across the various leagues. We'll definitely be looking to improve that going forward. There is also going to be a noted change in personnel. The manager and strength and conditioning coach, as well as the forwards coach for the Prem setup, is looking at moving on. So there's some roles that need to be filled there. We currently are in talks with a couple of people, 1 or 2 being finalized in the very near future. So it looks like we're going to have a strong contingent going forward. Similar in the Premier setup, we have managers and a couple of coaches that will be moving on at various stages of next season. So again, in talks with a couple of management personnel there. Just a couple of takeaways, I think, from the season that we discussed at various stages. One, I think recruitment went very well at a Prem setup. Going into the previous season, there was a focus on sustainability in our recruits. Personnel that had, were employable, that were maybe slightly younger and could stay here for the long haul. So COVID aside and people not necessarily able to get jobs and things, we've seen a few of them go, but with promises to return at the start of next season, which is a good turner. That was obviously very positive, and I think something we'll look to maintain going forward. Another discussion was the diversity and sustainability of our numbers in the club. There's been somewhat of a drop off in certain areas of the senior men's rugby club, and so a focus on what does a team like the Magi's mean? How do we integrate junior development with local players and bring them into the setup? So that we can ensure that Valley, as a strong club with a lot of players, continues into the future. Obviously, there were a number of programs that we looked at in terms of university and school integration, as well as some social, a bit more of a social calendar based around more local players. But obviously, that wasn't able to go ahead because of various restrictions. Also then just a note on the culture and the inclusivity. It seems like there was a bit of an uptick on the general vibe in the club. People pulling together. I think there was a lot of work done by managers, coaches across the board in all sections of the club, not only rugby, around pulling everybody together, focusing on mental health, pulling that bond closer together. They definitely felt like the club pulled together over the last month, year and a bit. And so we'll look, that's something we've noticed as the board and as the management personnel, and that's definitely something we're going to look to build on going forward. So yes, so now in sum, an up and down season, a few personnel changes coming into next season, but those we're talking to, we're very, very positive about. And we're looking forward to next season, onward and upward.
Yeah, Leila, you have to come speak on the hockey section, please.
Thanks, Brett. So just a quick update on the hockey front. This season obviously was it was challenging and it was a bit of a roller coaster. We started the season able to field the same number of teams as last year, so 6 men's teams and 5 women's teams. And I wanted to extend a big thank you to the coaches, conveners, and also the captains and players who basically managed to get teams ready in just over a month, when it normally takes us 3 months. And we started our league in end of October. We ended up withdrawing one of the women's teams in March, so that we merged our Division 2 and Division 3 teams together to compete in a higher Division 2, and probably that was one of the highlights, seeing all the number of players in Division 3 playing up and competing quite successfully. I think the biggest event, I guess, in the hockey section this season was obviously the loss of Fabian Gregory in January, who passed away very suddenly. As well as being the men's national coach, he'd also been the club's overall head coach before carrying on as just the women's head coach. Obviously, our thoughts continue to be with his family and loved ones, and particularly his son Jamie, who's in South Africa. He was a phenomenal coach who'd gone all the way to the Olympics with the South African men's team. So even today, I think we're still pinching ourselves that we can. And obviously, I won't go into much more detail about him, but suffice to say his impact on the passing was immense. And I wanted in particular to express my gratitude to the many who stepped up to help us as a club and finish the season. In particular, Brett, Andy Myers, Grace Gattas, Kelsey Dunn, Don Miller, Doug Meaning, Luke Wolf, and Sachi Redding. That's a little bit of positive news as well. So we had Aggie Moroni, who was one of our coaches who'd come out last season. She ended up going to Italy to get selected for the Italian team. She's recently been selected to compete in their European hockey tournament in Amsterdam next month. So congratulations. And then also just going back to Fabian, so as I mentioned, he's left behind his son in South Africa So many have kind of come to us and asked how they can help this family because she was the main provider. So some of the Valley people, Valley Hockey people, we've set up a GoFundMe page to help finance, to raise money to finance his education for secondary school and university. So if anyone wants to donate, it's on the website and we would be very grateful. We'll also finish on a positive with our country of origin tournament, Fabian Gregory Cup, this Saturday, which will be a nice way to remember him as a club in the section. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Leila. Now pass it to Rachel from the netball section.
Thank you. Hello. I'm very used to Zoom, but only 3 people are on Zoom. Okay, so just a quick overall for the netball section. So we had 113 players this year that entered into the HKNA Women's Netball League. It was down from 117 players from the 2019 to 20 season. So that's fantastic. We managed to basically retain the same amount of players. We've got a back to netball program that would have happened all year, but it's actually only started last month due to court restrictions. But we've already got 22 ladies who've registered for the program. And the main aim of the program is for ladies who have arrived in Hong Kong or new to netball to enjoy themselves, to get back out on the court, and hopefully they'll feed into the Women's League next year. So that's fantastic. So we had 10 teams this year. So we were down from 1 team. We had 11 last year. So 10 teams entered into the league and in September. And then obviously everything happened with COVID and 2 teams pulled out in January for the second round. So we had 8 teams that continued. Normally what happens with regards to the HKNA league is that the league is then split up. So everybody is then playing teams within their sort of same division, but due to what happened with COVID or what is currently happening, it was much harder for teams this year. But everybody got exactly the same amount of game time, which was fantastic. And we had 2 great results at the end where Panthers got 3rd overall, which is the first time that we've made the semi-finals in about 6 years. And Leopards got 3rd overall as well, which is great. So small progress. So we've got 5 full-time coaches. So we've got 1 coach per 2 teams. And then after Christmas, we then got 1 further coach to help support the Division 1 team for the remainder of the season. So we're very, very lucky with the coaches that we've had in the netball section. So obviously back to netball is currently happening now. We've got 1 coach for that. Something that's really positive to take away is that we've got 6 players that are in the Hong Kong netball team who are Valley players who now play for Hong Kong, which is fantastic. And we've also got 3 players who are in the under-21 squad, with the aim that maybe next year some of the youth, I mean, Chanel will talk about it, but the youth team might be able to play in the Women's League as well. So that's something that's very, very positive, the pathway that's coming through the netball. Currently, we're doing a big review in the netball section with the committee and all the coaches, and this is still under progress, and we're still thinking about what the season might look like next season, or what it might look like next season with regards to the structure. So more information will be towards the end of the summer before we start next season. We've had a huge problem with training courts this season because Won Chok Hang got turned into a COVID testing ground. So that was a huge challenge for all of us. And then we started using indoor courts like Sun Yat-sen, and then that got turned into a testing center as well. But fortunately, we did manage, and we went over to Kowloon side and we found lots of sort of extra courts. So we managed to make it work, which is great. So really lots and lots of positives to take away. We have retained the same amount of players. We've just got to really look at how we can move forward for next season. I think that's it.
Thanks, Rachel. Chanel, let's speak about the youth section.
Thanks, Simon. There it is.
Hi, so I'm Chanel and I look after the youth section for the club. So that's not only the youth netball, but also youth hockey, and we've also created a new program which is our youth multi-sport. So I don't look after the youth rugby side of things, but all the other sports that we look after with our young athletes comes under me. So that might just give a bit more background before I carry on. So we managed, despite all of the disruptions with COVID, we still managed to complete a full season for our youth programs, which is very exciting. So unlike much of the rugby section and the hockey section, which was hugely disrupted, we managed to continue with training throughout right until actually we'll finish on Monday, the 31st of May, for all of our sports. And we also managed last summer to actually complete a summer program, which was stopped halfway through, but we were able to give our members a bit more benefit for what they had paid for in the previous season as such. In terms of numbers, we have managed to actually retain, keep our numbers constant through last season to this season. There has been a drop off in our hockey and multi-sport members, but we've actually had a 45% increase in our youth netball program, which is huge. I think off the back of a lot of the school programs not being able to run, we've been able to pick up a lot of players, which has been very exciting, especially with our netball season, our netball program only being in its third season. So yeah, 45% increase in numbers there. We managed to launch an under 12s program this year, and hopefully for next season we'll look into going into younger age groups as well. The biggest issue, which Rachel already alluded to, is the venue space. So we struggled to actually secure netball courts to have our young athletes training. So we work very closely with the Hong Kong Netball Association, and also we rely at times on schools for their facilities, but with COVID, school facilities have not been available. So that's been quite disruptive. We actually did a lot of training this season for our netball at the IRC, the Indian Recreation Club, which has been fantastic. But again, it's not a netball court. So we continue to explore that. So while I'm here, if anyone's got any access to any netball courts, please do let both Rachel and I know, because that would be a huge help for our seniors and our junior sections. In terms of hockey, last year we had our first season with a head coach of the hockey program, that being Ben Chu. He created a full new curriculum for our hockey program, but with the disruptions last season, we weren't able to actually roll that out. This season, we have been able to see huge changes with the rollout of that curriculum, and I think it's quite evident when you're down at training on a Saturday, in terms of seeing the development with those youth players coming through. We were also very fortunate to secure an additional training slot for our youth. So we have split our youth hockey between Friday afternoons with our older players and Saturday mornings, which has meant that resources in terms of coaching resources and also turf time has been better split and better managed with our players for their development. We haven't had any competition really for the hockey players, so it's quite hard to gauge our development against other clubs. We will have our first tournament this Saturday, which Ben has been leading. So if anyone wants to come down and support some of our youth hockey players this Saturday, you're most welcome at Happy Valley Turf 2, 9:30. With regards to our pathway with hockey, though, we've had 8 players playing through from our youth team through to our senior side, so that's fantastic. We continue to try and build on that as we attract more players through our program. In terms of our youth netball, as Rachel already mentioned, we've got 3 players from the women's side that are in the under 21 side, but it should be noted that these females are also actually 16 and 17-year-olds. So they're in the under 19s program for Valley. So it's fantastic to see that they're being picked up already. And I'm sure that we'll see them go from strength to strength. Our in-school programs was placed on hold for the last 12 months due to COVID. We haven't been able to get any of our coaches into schools, unfortunately. And we hope to see that next schooling year, some of those restrictions lift and we'll be able to put our coaches through for additional options for income revenue. But yeah, we continue to explore other ways that we can attract further coaching for our coaching staff. Next season, again, it's just going to be a matter of trying to consolidate on this season, continue to build, hopefully continue to strengthen that player pathway. And we hope to see more and more of our youth players coming through, playing into the senior sections. And the biggest issue, again, so this continues to be our venues. So if anyone does know any venues, please do let us know. Yeah, I just want to thank everybody that's been a huge support of our programs. So our coaches, our members, volunteers. It's been quite disruptive for all sections, but we've managed to pull through. So we're very pleased with what we have achieved this year for our juniors. That is all.
Thanks, Janelle. Tara, who's going to speak on about the social.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Tara. I'm here representing myself and Trey, who have been co-leads of the social efforts this year. We started the year pretty kind of excited, hoping that some restrictions would allow us to do more social events this year. We beefed up the social rep team. We have some new members join us. We tried to get more people involved from different sections so that we could broaden our scope and get more people engaged. And we also, working with Grant under new leadership, we really looked at how we could be more inclusive in terms of decision making and getting the social reps involved in organisation of events. So we were very excited to start off the year. But of course, as things happened with COVID, we were impacted throughout, and we weren't able to go ahead with most of the plans we had at the beginning of the year. So we were hit mostly by the different waves. So, you know, either restrictions on numbers. So we had to cancel things like the Christmas party, the annual ball, because it would have been too many people. Or when we had the good news that restrictions were lifted, it was hard to get people to sign up to things because everyone just wanted to see their friends and, you know, go out to the bars and stuff. So we kind of had a mixed year for getting people together, but we had more success, we're pleased to say, in more kind of community events. So pre-season, many of you guys here, we recognize your faces from the Everest Challenge, where we managed to raise more than 230,000 Hong Kong dollars for local charities, Feeding Hong Kong, and I can't remember how many times we climbed up Everest, but it was like a monumental amount of times that we didn't expect. So watch out for this year's charity edition as well. And we also did 2 food drives this year that were really successful, again, with the help of many of you that are here today. We managed to deliver huge amounts of truckloads of boxes to Feeding Hong Kong through the year at times when a lot of people were really needing some help. So some really great stuff on a community side of things, even though we weren't able to get together for some of the big events that we wanted to. Looking forward to next season, we know we will still be impacted by COVID fatigue and restriction changes. So we really, you know, we're looking at our social rep team again. We've got some new people joining the team, and we're really looking to try and engage members as much as possible, be it in smaller events or bigger ones as well, depending what the restrictions allow us to do. We will be enhancing the role of the social reps so that all social reps can get more involved end to end, you know, get more involved in actually organising events themselves as well. So really trying to get more people involved that will help us spread the word more as well and help drive attendance at these events. We will be meeting as a new social team kind of later in June to plan out the next season. But what we do know already is that we hope to continue working from a community perspective with the likes of Feeding Hong Kong, because that relationship's been working really well. We'll also continue to provide future support for tournaments such as Women's Fast 15s. And we have a couple of events coming up that we know are kind of pre-season. So again, on the community side of things, we have a beach cleanup that we're planning on the 26th of June. So get the dates in your diaries. We'll be looking to sign as many Valley players up as possible to get involved in that. And then on possibly late July, we are looking at the second Everest Challenge. Can we climb higher this year? So more news to come on that, but get training everybody, because we hope to see you all there running up and down some steps. Just final thoughts, just special thanks to all of the efforts from the social reps this year. It's been a tough and challenging year, pretty irregular. But we have some people leaving the rep team. So Paul Wong from hockey and Ed Taylor from rugby. Thanks for all your hard work this year, and welcoming some new reps. So Rory Ben from rugby, Bernie from women's rugby, and Chris from hockey. So looking forward to hopefully having some more events, more community events as well, and getting more support and seeing your faces more regularly. Thank you.
Obviously, it's been a pretty tough 2 years for the club, for everyone involved in terms of actually getting out there and playing sport and having social events. And I just want to thank all the committee members, the board members, the coaches, the managers, everyone who does things for this club, because it's tough and it's frustrating. When you organise things, if you try and get a team on the pitch and it gets cancelled, it's hard work because you're not getting the rewards that you're expecting to get. So, you know, it's been fantastic endeavours by everybody to keep it going, and great spirit and culture from the club to keep things moving along the way they have. In terms of a general sort of financial position of where we are, so we're at the stage we're going to talk, get the audited accounts for last year approved. But in terms of where we are financially, we're in pretty good shape, and I think we are in much better shape than a lot of other Premiership rugby clubs and other sporting clubs in Hong Kong. We have been quite careful about our expenditures. We have been careful not to spend rashly and exceed, increase our budgets. Even in a time when we have, in last year in particular, we have been increasing our sponsorship levels. So, I mean, big thank you to the sponsors that we have. We have reached, the highest levels of sponsorship money that we've ever had before. But we are facing a lot of challenges moving forward. We do have question marks. We are negotiating hard in terms of some final deals for the coming season. But there are question marks over for example, some of the support we get from the Hong Kong Rugby Union. We are indirectly affected by the fact that they have abolished the professional rugby program. So there's these direct effects that are having impacts on us in different ways. Sponsorship money is hard to keep. And I do want to say, like, Boozer in particular has led us in a new direction in terms of providing value adds for sponsors. So things like the Everest Challenge, things like doing the Horse of Course podcast, are all aimed at creating more value for sponsors beyond what everyone does on the playing sporting field. Also related to that is things like the Valley Foundation, which is much closer to fruition. We should expect to get that approved soon. So there's a whole plan of different endeavours that the foundation will be undertaking. It will be a registered charity. So all these things are partly aimed in sort of maintaining and ensuring that we get maximum exposure, maximum reputation in the community. Enhances our recruitment efforts, enhances our sponsorship attraction. So hopefully we're in a good place, and obviously social media has been a big part of that, and we haven't been able to meet people in person. So we've put a lot of effort into social media outreach. The financial position's not too bad. We have reserves. We haven't been steadily increasing those reserves for the last 4 or 5 years. Last 5 years that they've been building up, but there's not a huge amount there. But generally the position is pretty good, but we've got to look forward to the future. Part of the formalities, we need to present and adopt the audited accounts for the financial year last year, so the year ended 31 May 2020. Could I have someone to propose the adoption of the accounts? Sure. Yeah. John Clark, seconder. Matthew Bell, thank you. Second formality, we need to reappoint Louis Lai and Luck as auditors of the club and to authorise the committee to fix their remuneration. Can I have a proposer? John, you want a seconder? Trey. Now the next formality is we obviously have previously announced our inductees as life members, actually middle of last year. And these were announced, and we had hoped to actually physically give them their awards at our ball, which was unfortunately postponed again. So we're not going to go into the detail of the life members right now. We do have 3 of them here in person. So we will be presenting them with their life membership awards later. We actually have ADMA online with Zoom, and we're also going to have an online presentation from ADMA, Dino and Nick a little bit later. So there's 6 life members to be inducted: ADMA Andrade, Alex Badley, Dino Hirawini, Nicholas Houston, Rachel Bryant, and Samantha Fizal. Could I, have a proposer first? Seconder? Yep. And yes, let's a clap for them. Well done. The next item. Yep, certainly. First ever life. Yeah. Jamie, you're going to say a few words? Yeah, so fantastic. 6 very well-deserving recipients who've contributed a huge amount to the club in many different ways over many years. Next item on the agenda, we've got a number of items where we're looking to adjust the articles of the club. Welcome questions if anybody has them. I thought I'd briefly talk through the amendments. They've been circulated to the club previously. We're expanding the board. So, for example, we're splitting the men's rugby convener role into 2. So we'll have a men's performance rugby convener and a men's community rugby convener. So there'll be 2 representations there. We are also introducing a new role for Director of Charity and Sustainability and a Director for Diversity and Inclusion. So that's an expansion of the board, and it represents the importance we attribute to those particular areas. We've also changed the nature of the Director for Business Development to also have a role working with the Red and Black Club. So there's an expansion generally in terms of the different categories there. Then the other item we've looked to amend, a few minor. We've clarified who the life members are, expanded out, so hopefully we haven't missed anyone, so that the articles reflect who they are. We've introduced a separate class of corporate membership. That really is done for accounting reasons. We're looking to, I'm happy to explain it to anyone who wants to find out about it, but we want to potentially have some sponsors enter into as corporate members, so we've made some adjustments to the articles for that. And then the final category is we've introduced a concept of honorary vice chairman. So this basically follows a bit of a concept that the Hong Kong Rugby Union uses, where we're essentially setting up an advisory committee. Now, this committee will be completely discretionary. They have no specific responsibilities. The committee will have no particular format in terms of meeting up, but the intention of the committee is that they act in an advisory role to both the chairman and also the board. And the composition of the committee will be former chairman. So initially there'll be, I think 9 former chairmen who have indicated they would be, 8 former chairmen who have indicated they are happy to be part of that committee. So really it'll be up for the new chair and the board to decide how they'll use those people, if they use those people, and equally how those honorary vice chair will be involved. It's up to them. So we thought we'd add this in as a bit of formality to really provide assistance to the new chair and the new board moving forward. Yeah, well, Grant made a point that we haven't added John Barrett to the list. John, would you like to be on the list of honorary vice chairman? Thank you very much. Yes, so if everyone's happy with that amendment.
might have to buy you a smartphone, John, because we primarily use WhatsApp to talk to each other. I know you don't have a smartphone, but we'll work out another way. And the new chairman's promised, one of the key formalities is the new chairman has to host everyone for an annual lunch on the chairman's tab. So you'll be invited to that for sure.
If you guys like McDonald's.
Does anyone have any questions about those amendments to the articles? I wasn't expecting a question for Turtle. Are you talking about the director of charity role? Oh. Yeah, well, I think in a sense we thought that the rugby convener role was really a variation. Yeah. Sure. I mean, I think obviously all the roles were advertised in the sense of, you know, the notice of the AGM was circulated, but obviously maybe wasn't highlighted. People, if they looked at the notice, would have seen that there was a split there in terms of men's rugby and social and performance rugby. So I think it was fairly obvious personally. Yeah. No. Sure. No, I get your point, Turtle. Maybe we could have advertised that a little bit better. But I think the point we were trying to make was that the diversity thing was very much a very different role, that we've never had any people in that kind of role before. So we wanted to make it very obvious, and we wanted, you know, people would not have thought to have even applied for that kind of directorship in the past, and they wouldn't have imagined. And we actually got a whole range of interested people who would never, I think, have thought to have joined the board. So it was very interesting. Sure. Yeah. No point taken, Turtle. Yep. Sure. No point taken, and I think the new board will take that on board for next season. Any other questions in relation to the amendments to the articles? Yeah. Anyone got any more voting forms to bring in to give to Grant? Sorry, I haven't got up to that yet. So yeah, any voting forms, please bring them in. We're about to get to the election of officers in a moment. So in terms of the articles, can I have someone to propose the amendment of the articles? Thanks, Alex. Seconded, Monty. Thank you. So take that as passed. So as a final item on the agenda, election of officers. So we've had the following nominations for the following roles. Orpheus Diva for chairman. So that position is uncontested, and therefore I deem Orpheus Diva as our new chairman. One nomination for vice chairman, Tanya Young. Tanya will be our new vice chairman, uncontested. Ian Fleming, how many years has that been, Ian, as treasurer? About 7 or 8 years. Ian, uncontested as treasurer. Thank you, Ian. Matthew Bell for men's performance rugby convener. Dylan Navra for men's community rugby convener. KK Wong for women's rugby convener. Luke Roth for hockey convener. Tara O'Leary for social convener. Claire Wilkins for Director for KITS. Chanel Candy for Director of Youth. Patrick Shepherd for Director for Charity and Diversity. Now, for the role of Director for Diversity and Inclusion, we have two nominations, Grace Gatas and Adrian Davis. I'll now pass the mic to our scrutineer, if he's ready.
One last call for votes. One last call for votes.
Oh, one last call for votes. Yeah, please bring them in.
Votes in.
Votes come in, please. So while the votes are being counted, I'll skip ahead. Toby Fenn for Director for Business Development and the Red and Black Club. So I'll now pass the mic to our scrutineer to announce the results of the election.
Yes, we've scrutinised the votes, and in fairness, most of the voting was done prior to tonight electronically. We had about 90 votes coming in over the last week, so great turnout. And the vote goes to Grace Gatas. Congratulations.
Does anyone have any other points of business they'd like to raise? Anything at all?
Yes, there is going to be a subcommittee to work on that. The focus was to get to this Saturday, but the company's already in Stadium, but then there is going to be a subcommittee. James Insline is going to get involved and start rallying the groups and start reaching out. But with all the disruptions with this late point, it's can't be too much yet, but it'll be towards the later end of this year. So,
Any other turtle? Again, point noted, Turtle, and I'll leave it to the new board to make the decision about that. And no further business, I'll call the AGM closed. Thank you, everyone.
We are expecting more guests to come, so please, if you could return to your assigned table. Preference, get down to your corner.
Yeah, you know that the extension book is after that. So that was what I was going to say.
Yes.
If you read it, you'll know that it's exactly what it is.
Of course, I know the account back to front.
Congratulations on the ideas.
Thanks, mate.